Welcome to our first video in our series of podcasts and video streams of utilizing Remesh. Today's conversation, we're going to talk about the news last week where Amazon agreed to purchase Whole Foods. So we're just going to talk to a group of consumers. I think we're going to have somewhere between 40 and 50 people online to talk about what they think about it, what they think it means for the future, and then just also talking about some of the trends in online grocery shopping, what things could be done to really enable that. Obviously, the thought there is that Amazon is probably going to focus more on online grocery and utilize that ecosystem that Whole Foods has, as well as stores, to kind of augment that and build up from there. So we're going to get started in about 5 seconds with a group of people. So we have about 37 people on now. Excellent. All right, we're going to get started. First, just going to give some introductions and instructions to the participants just so they know how this is going to work, providing them some instructions so that they participate well today. As you can see, we've had the majority of what we have already set up, ready to go. We pre-programmed a lot of the discussion that we're going to talk about today into this discussion guide that we're accessing via the queue here on the right. I'm just going to send these through, give everyone a second to read it, and then I'm going to ask them if they're ready to get going. And you can see here kind of a preview of some of the questions that we're going to ask, give some warm-up questions, and then really get into the discussion. Anytime I can not follow this queue, if there's something that really comes up that's interesting, I can go in and go to ask my own follow-up question to this group of people that's online. But I'm going to go ahead and get started and ask them if they're ready to go. So, hopefully everyone is. So while they're responding, I can already start to get ready for my own thing. I'm going to assume that they're all ready to go. I'm going to give them some further instructions to try to get them to be more lengthy and descriptive in their responses rather than just 1 or 2 word responses. We were trying to get more tweet length type of responses, so 140 characters. It looks like absolutely everyone's ready to go. So let's get started there. I'm going to give them those instructions and then get started. So first, I'm going to ask a warm-up question just to get everyone familiar with the system from the participant side. Today's question is, tell everyone else in the group why dogs or cats are better pets. Everyone probably has an opinion. Maybe they don't like either. We'll find out. And so we'll start to see some active participants on their side saying dogs are more loyal so far. So about every 10 seconds or so, we're going to start to see what the current top response is from the group. It'll change based on what people are submitting to. They're actually going to go through a voting process on other responses from other people throughout the session as well. So we'll wait. We got about 42, 41 seconds left. Looks like cats are winning at the moment just because they do not require any intervention or attention. Cats are cute, but they don't need constant attention. Going to be honest, I myself am more of a dog person, but we will see what happens in the end. It looks like it's back and forth. Cats are cute, dogs are cute as well. Let's see who won. Cats are cute, but they don't need constant attention. Dogs like attention and aren't as snooty as cats is the second answer. And we can go a little bit more in depth into that, but I'm going to go into here, and I'm just going to tell everyone that I am a dog person. And cool. All right. So let's get started with the conversation. Now we're going to get into if people are familiar that Whole Foods was bought by Amazon last week. We're just going to get a gauge on what people have heard beforehand before we get into it. And then I'm going to get ready and just load the next question. Like statement going to just let everyone know that Amazon purchased Whole Foods on Friday last week for about $13 billion. We'll see if everyone is familiar. Yes, 90% are familiar, which is good. So everyone's at least aware of it. And I'm just going to ask them right away, what are their general thoughts on this news? We'll see when that happens. So as you're kind of waiting for that next question to come through and people to respond, you can kind of sit here and wait and see the current top response as it comes in, which we'll start to see as people start to participate. One person thinks Amazon is getting too big and powerful. I can also kind of go back and look at the other responses and other things. So if here I kind of want to look at, obviously there's some cats and dogs people here. We can start to look at, how's that break down in terms of if I want to just look at males, are they more on the cat or dog? Looks like it's kind of similarly polarizing back and forth. What I can now do is also do some segmentation of the participants and see, all right, where does that break down? So it looks like the cat people are more on this side, the dog people are on this side. It's probably the cat people are a little bit more passionate about it, it seems, so that's why it drove their response to the top. But you can already start to see some attitudinal breakdown and segmentation of the participants that are probably on this side of like more of the dog people. These people here are more the cat people. These people are in the middle, I would guess, are people that are indifferent, not as passionate, maybe are neither a big dog person nor a big cat person, or are big dog and cat people. Let's go back to the current question. Right now, the people are thinking it's interesting, think it's good, think it's great. Then there's some concern, some comments coming around concern around Amazon getting too big, like a monopoly. So we'll see what that comes about in terms of the end response here. But looks like there's some difference in various opinions coming through here. Yeah, so monopoly aspect could be bad, but at the same time providing some convenience to the customer in the end. So I'm going to go in here and ask people to get a little bit creative. We're going to ask them to foresee the future. We're going to use the year 2022. I'm actually just going to change it to 2025 for the sake of adding a couple more years into it and see retrospectively, how did the grocery industry change? So if I go back into here, I start to see a little bit around tell me about your general thoughts on this news. Let's make it more convenient. I think it benefits me greatly due to being a Prime member already. This could open up grocery shopping and delivery to me. I'm curious to see what it means for me. And then again, there's some of that concern where Amazon is getting too big and powerful here. You'll notice that we are providing scores for all these responses. So on the right here, you'll see a popularity score and a consensus score. Popularity is our measurement of the average opinion of the group of that specific response. And consensus is how much alignment there is on that popularity score. So it's trying to get an average score and then as well trying to understand, well, is the group all aligned on that or is there some polarization? And you can see, and I think specifically on the question so far, there's definitely some polarization as we're seeing lower consensus, middle to lower consensus score on a lot of these things that you see. This is, I think Amazon is getting too big and powerful. Obviously, it's in contrast to some of the comments that are here, and that's because on average it's getting a higher score, but consensus is lower. So there's some people that think that's something they really believe in, and other people that are saying no, that's not a concern that they have. I'm just going to jump back here to see where we're at on the current question. I'm curious to see what groceries will be delivered. It's not as creative as I was looking for, but we'll see if some other people are a little bit more creative. No grocery stores. Everything is bought online and delivered. No longer be able to go to the grocery store. I think we have some questions. I think what we've heard and done through some other things, heard some concerns about online grocery stores now, and I think we want to get a perspective on that. So we're actually going to skip some of these questions here. I think a lot of the comments are here. No grocery stores anymore, but I might go back to them. I want to say, like, obviously, with Amazon bringing primary online retailer, sometimes it's create a larger shift towards grocery shopping, which I think is brought into the statements before. I'm just going to get a perspective of who already does grocery shopping online now. You'll see we're skipping ahead a couple questions to kind of capture into some of the things that were talked about in this last statement, kind of making the connection there. I think we'll see you can order all your food online, have it delivered, groceries will be delivered, and so forth. So our next question is going to be related to that, which is, so obviously everyone's saying everything's going to be online and delivered, but at the same time, 50% are not doing grocery shopping online. So where is that disconnect? I think like I said, we've heard there's some apprehension about not being able to select things like produce or meats because of freshness with online grocery stores, grocery shopping. And so I think we want to get a perspective on here, which is, again, get some creativity. What would you propose to Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, to make people more comfortable with online grocery shopping? Wait for people to start to actively start talking about this. We can certainly go back. Let's look at that breakdown of who does shop for online. Really look at 3% of the participants. So we have 40 participants. Only one person has said that they always grocery shop online. We have about 19 people, or 48% do some grocery shopping online or sometimes do it, versus 50% that just says no, they're not doing any grocery shopping online. So it looks like one of the things that's popped up already is around guaranteed returns if grocery is not fresh. I think that obviously makes sense. See what else, and kind of falls in line with a lot of what Amazon's already doing with clothes, like a lot of those other things that I think people were apprehensive about shopping online because they didn't have a chance to try it before they bought it, and it's not something that's just standard, specifically clothes, shoes, and those things. And I think they've put a big focus on being able to open that up by having just guaranteed returns. If it doesn't work, ship it back and then go get something else. So I think that falls in line with some of that. Cool. So we're going to actually ask a poll question after this, which is going to be specifically around what the top idea comes back to be, to see, like, now if that was implemented, would that change your mindset towards grocery shopping? All right, virtual meat fruit selection, being able to pick out the exact meat produce that you receive an hour later by drone. All right, I'm going to see what other responses to see if there's anything else. Guaranteed fresh, proof and delivered product and honesty where it came from, lower than $5 to $10 fee. So I'm going to go with the top one. So just going to copy that in here and ask them to see what they would do. And I think we have time for about one more question. I'm going to see what other things I've already kind of loaded in here and gotten ready to go, see what else people are interested in learning about. And so we've asked these questions. We asked some questions around, like, what would you tell Jeff Bezos to actually keep at Whole Foods? I think that's an interesting question. Would you tell Jeff Bezos to absolutely get rid of with Whole Foods? So I'm going to load that one and get that one ready to go. can actually reduce it down to a minute. See if I can sneak in another question as well based on timing here. Right. So 50% said they would shop online more. So we'll have to do some digging to see how that correlates to the people that are already grocery shopping sometimes, to the people that say never to it as well. I'm going to say the local aspect. I'm going to try to do one last question after this is up. So yeah, the organic foods, the range of products that are not available in normal grocery stores, that type of variety, I think is what they absolutely want to see with Whole Foods being kept. Also the local aspect. I think that's a balance. So I think if you look at Amazon's history, one of the advantages even from the beginning, from the book side, is being able to offer a larger amount of options than you would get at a local bookstore by being able to have that wide variety of options there. So I think that almost in some ways stays the same, or maybe even is better from the Amazon side. But I think having that local side is going to be harder as you look at being more digital. Obviously, people are talking about the insane prices here so far. But yeah, I think it's the pre-made food. Love their salad bar, which that's obviously a challenge from an online standpoint unless they start doing pre-packaged meals or pre-made meals for delivery. I think that's a lot of people almost look at as if they're close by a Whole Foods, as a lunch option to be able to quickly go in there, make something, or as well as going home for dinner before they go home, having pre-made meals on the go, ready to go, versus not just like from a grocery store standpoint, but a lot for the takeout capabilities of that. That's all we're going to kind of go through for today. I wanted to ask that one last question. We'll dig into it briefly, but I'm going to let the folks go so that they can leave here. But yeah, I think let's see, even just around like what they said about to absolutely get rid of with Whole Foods. We said try not to talk about just the high prices. I think everyone knows Whole Foods is known for their high prices, but let's see what else everyone had to say. So the name is pretty bad. Get rid of it and come up with something better. So this person did not really like the name. Actually, it looks like a lot of people agreed with it, which is interesting. Might be interesting to dig in a little bit later. Getting rid of the air of snootiness that surrounds the store, not having very many stores. Some people are just not Whole Foods consumers in the group as well. So some mix there overall. But that's kind of a quick summary of how a session works here at Remesh. Just as well, just to look at the session itself, and interesting to get people's perspective on the current events and current news with Amazon buying Whole Foods in the last week here. We're going to start to do this on a weekly basis. So this is first of hopefully many to come. And we're going to try to talk about what is relevant and interesting for the week. We'll share the link to this conversation afterwards. So you want to go ahead and dig into some of the data yourself, you're going to be welcome to do that. And we'll share that here at the end. But thanks everyone for watching, and look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.